Welcome everyone to today's webcast. My name is Darren Knox and I'm the Oracle University Vice President and General Manager.
And I'm Willie Hardy from the Oracle Database Product Management Team.
And today we're here to talk to you about how you maximize your business outcomes with Oracle Database 18c. But before we get started, please take a minute and look at our safe harbor statement. Okay, so just to set the table a little bit on what we're going to be talking today, let's talk a little bit about what's going on with data. So it seems to be, if I look out in the market, volumes and volumes of data are being created, and that growth is exponential.
Absolutely. Yes.
Customers are, there's a lot more adoption of internet. E-commerce is everywhere. There's millions of internet of things devices being created, and all of that data requires a database management system that can really scale and perform for what a customer needs. With all the personal information that's out there, it needs to be secure. It needs to be performant so analysis can be done and customers can get insights into their businesses. And it also needs to be efficient because, resources aren't cheap, labor and infrastructure. So if you could take us through a little bit of what the database can do today, what is Oracle innovating around 18c, we'd really like to hear that.
Absolutely. So let's begin by looking at where Oracle Database 18c is currently available on. So Oracle Database 18c, the latest generation of Oracle Database, became generally available earlier this year. It's now available on premises on platforms like Linux and Windows. It's available on Oracle's engineered systems, in particular Oracle Exadata Database Machine and the Oracle Database Appliance. And it's also available as services in the Oracle Cloud. Now, we'll look at some of the specific aspects of Oracle Database 18c in a few moments. It's probably worth pointing out that Oracle Database 18c, sometimes called the Autonomous Database, is actually the first release in Oracle's new annual release cycle. So previously we would release 1, release 2 every 2, 3 to 5 years and so forth. Now we're doing an annual release. And Oracle Database 18c is the first of that annual release cycle. Now, it follows on from the previous release, which is Oracle Database 12c Release 2. So it's probably worth having a look at some of the key innovations in Oracle Database 12c Release 2 that have been subsequently enhanced in Oracle Database 18c. So if we look at the three key components of Oracle Database 12c, we have the new multi-tenant architecture, we have Oracle Database InMemory, and we've introduced a sharding capability. Now, with multi-tenant, we gave customers the ability to do massive consolidation of their databases. Because we can create a multi-tenant container database and plug in multiple pluggable databases into this container, we can make more efficient use of our database server memory and processing power. We also introduced a lot of agility, and we introduced agility with economies of scale. So we made it easier for customers to create databases, to copy databases, to move databases, and so forth. When Oracle Database InMemory came along, we gave customers the ability for the first time to take frequently accessed data and put it into an in-memory column store such that we could retrieve our analytic answers much more faster. And we were able to do this without customers having to change their applications. And then for those customers that really needed massive web scalability with complete fault tolerance, we introduced the ability for customers to shard their database applications. So now customers can create this massive global database that's physically split into different database shards spread over a multitude of data centers. Now, well, these are the key or marquee features, as we like to call them, Darryl. There was a whole raft of other features that came with Oracle Database 12c. We're looking at some of them on the screen here. I just want to call it a couple of features that have a significant impact on the likes of DBAs and certainly developers. If we take online tablespace encryption, for example, for a long time we've given customers the ability to encrypt tables and encrypt columns to better protect their databases. With 12c, we introduced the ability to encrypt entire table spaces of data, but yet do that while their applications remained online. If we look at JSON in the database, with the introduction of 12c, we gave customers the ability to say, look, I've got these JSON documents I want to store and manage. I can put them into my Oracle database where I can keep it secure and I can keep it highly available, and I don't need to keep that data in a separate data store. Some of the other key components that are particularly of interest for DBAs, the ability to do an online table move. It sounds fairly simple, but that's something DBAs like to do fairly regularly. Before, we would have to take stuff offline. Now we can do that all online. So let's go through some of the key focus areas of Oracle Database 18c, and let's compare it with what already exists in Oracle Database 12c. So I mentioned earlier that Oracle Database 12c introduced the new multi-tenant architecture. With this architecture, we gave customers the ability to make more efficient use of their database infrastructure resources and make more efficient use of their DBA resources, because by managing many databases as one, instead of multiple distributed databases, we can now make it easier to patch our databases, to upgrade them, to secure them, to back them up, and so forth. And also with Oracle Database 12c, we introduced the concept of an application root, so we can actually share common application code against multiple pluggable databases in a multi-tenant container. Now, with the introduction of Oracle Database 18c, we've introduced some new capabilities here. First of all, we're making it a lot easier for customers to upgrade to the multi-tenant architecture. We're also giving the ability for customers, as they move pluggable databases, and they can move pluggable databases online from one environment to another, say from on-premise to the cloud, for example. We can now give customers the ability to take up all their redo logs with them. So if they need to do a point-in-time recovery in the new environment, they can now do that. We've also introduced the concept of what we call a PDB switchover. So we can basically maintain one pluggable databases from a source database by continually shipping updates from one to the other. But we've now got the ability to do a switchover of those attributes if the situation requires it. So a lot of enhancements across the board to the multi-tenant architecture, which basically give customers greater agility and economies of scale. Let's move on to availability now. So over the years, many Oracle Database customers will appreciate that Oracle has gradually enhanced what we call its maximum availability architecture, which is essentially a set of blueprints for best high availability practices to provide greater availability of our database applications. So we give customers a set of tools to protect from the common causes of unplanned and planned downtime. Just to give you a few examples, with real application clusters, we can protect our databases from server failure. With Active Data Guard, we can protect our databases from a complete site outage. With tools like Oracle Golden Gate, we can do heterogeneous replication. So from replicating updates on one database on one operating system to another database in a completely different operating system. And then, as I mentioned earlier, when we introduced sharding with Oracle Database 12c, we introduced full isolation on a global scale. And we continue to enhance our high availability capability with Oracle Database 18c. So for example, for those of customers that are on a real application cluster environment, we can now do zero impact grid infrastructure planning. So when it comes time to upgrade the underlying infrastructure that underpins those real application environments, we can do that on a server by server basis. We've improved sharding capabilities by giving customers the ability to basically choose or define their own sharding capabilities to decide which shard goes where and we've also improved the speed of being able to execute queries across different shards. Another key introduction with Oracle Database 18c is what we're calling sharded rack. So we're now able to take existing rack applications and dynamically direct different users to different servers in a cluster to get better balanced utilization across all servers in a cluster. Moving on, let's talk about performance now. If there's one aspect of any database application that's most obvious, particularly to the end users, is one of performance. When things slow down, customers complain, the phones start to ring. So once again, over the years, we've introduced a massive number of enhancements for better performance improvements. An obvious one most recently is the introduction of the in-memory column store. We can now offer customers orders of magnitude better query performance by taking portions of our existing database and putting it, instead of its row-based format, putting it into an in-memory column store where we can get access to that information much, much faster. And we can do this without changing the application, which is very significant for customers looking to take advantage of this performance enhancement. Other obvious performance capabilities, the ability to process SQL on silicon and the ability to use engineered systems, take advantage of the additional functionality that comes with things like Exadata storage software, smart scans, hybrid columnar compression, flash cache, storage indexes, and so forth. But we continue to improve Oracle Database's performance capabilities with the introduction of 18c. First off, let's talk about in-memory once again. One of the challenges DBAs currently have is what to put into the in-memory column store, and more importantly, what to take out of the in-memory column store to ensure consistent fast performance. So we can now automate the population of in-memory column data from disk to memory. We've also engineered Oracle Database 18c to take full advantage of non-volatile memory when it becomes available from the Intels and the Samsungs of this world. So that's effectively going to extend the hierarchy of database storage from DRAM to NVRAM to solid state storage to spinning storage to archival storage, and we can automate the movement of that data as the activity changes across that data. Another key feature that we've introduced that's going to help with performance is on key lookups. So you can now take tables and make them what we're calling memory optimized. So it's effectively an in-memory row store for really ultra-fast key-based lookups of relevant information for our applications. Moving on, let's talk about security. Once again, over the years, with successive releases of Oracle Database, Oracle's put more and more security functionality into the Oracle Database where we can secure sensitive information once where it cannot be circumvented. The challenge customers have in securing their enterprise data is identifying all those potentials area of unauthorized access and putting the relevant controls in place to properly ensure that data is protected. So let me give you a few examples. I talked about encryption earlier on. Encryption gives us the ability to completely anonymize data as it's represented through query tools, through screens and forms and so forth. Redaction does similar. We can take a column and we can only display a piece of that, so we don't display the whole relevant information. Customers regularly copy entire databases and subsets of databases for development, quality assurance testing. Every time data is copied from one database to another, if that copied database isn't secured, you've got another risk of exposure. So we can now mask that data as it's copied. And one of the key things that we introduced most recently to help customers better assess their overall enterprise security is what we call a security assessment tool. So this helps them to understand where the potential points of failure are and what they can do to address those. And once again, With 18C, we enhanced the database's security capability. So, for example, if we look back at the multi-tenant architecture, we've now introduced key storage at the PDB level. So this, instead of storing our keys at the container database level, we can now store individual keys at pluggable database level. This enhances the security and separation of data between multiple pluggable databases in a container database. And probably one of the most asked for enhancements to the database is integration with Active Directory. Now, I should point out, Darren, that Oracle Database has been integrated with Active Directory for a number of generations of Oracle Database, but it always required Active Directory, Oracle Database, and Oracle Internet Directory to enable that integration between the database and Active Directory. With 18C, we've removed the need to have the Oracle Internet Directory in that architecture. So it's going to make life a whole lot easier. When an employee leaves the company, they'll be taken out of Active Directory and thereby automatically removed from the database. Let's look at data warehousing now. One of the big advantages for Oracle customers is they've got a multi-functioning database that can cope with multiple workloads. So as well as doing traditional transaction processing, the database is ideally suited for analytics, data marts, data warehousing, big data lakes, and so forth. And once again, over the years, we've introduced key components to the database like partitioning, like compression, that make it easier for our DBAs to manage these large volumes of data. And from a developer's perspective, we've given them the tools, the SQL tools, to help them better understand their data. So with analytical views, for example, we can create analytical views that represent a business hierarchy of information such that users can use those views to easily access underlying enterprise information. With the introduction of Big Data SQL a few years back, we gave customers the ability to use their Oracle SQL to access non-Oracle SQL, or non-Oracle data, I should say, that's resident in the Hadoop platform. And then we took our engineered systems philosophy a stage further with the introduction of the Big Data Appliance. So we gave customers a complete environment to be able to build scalable, reliable Hadoop environments. And with respect to 18C, there's a raft of new features that are going to benefit both developers and indeed DBAs. So let's look at it from a developer perspective. We've enhanced our approximate query functionality. So with approximate queries, we can issue commands like distinct counts, medians, top in, ranking, but we can run against a massive number of rows, but do it very quickly because we're only pulling out an approximate answer. It's like a best guesstimate, if you like. So if we're looking at, are we doing more than we did last week, and we want the answer right away, approximate queries are the way to do it. It just makes things a lot faster. If you look at some of the DBA functionality we've introduced, the ability to do merge partitions online. A lot of customers may do weekly partitions, to spread the load of how that data is accessed. But as time moves on and that data is less frequently accessed, they might want to merge those weeks into a month partition and move that onto maybe a different storage tier. They can now do all that online. Now, I mentioned developers there, Dan, so let's just briefly talk about some developer components. So, with Oracle Database 12c, customers have inbuilt development tools, Oracle Application Express, which is nowadays called a low-code development environment, and other tools like SQL Command Line and SQL Developer. The database has always done and will continue to support all popular development frameworks out there, from the SQLs, the REST, the Node, the Pythons, the PHPs, Javas, and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, we introduced support for JSON in the database, not just the storing of that data and accessing it through APIs, but we also gave customers the ability to access that using SQL. Once again, More functionality is introduced with Oracle Database 18c. We've continued to enhance the JSON support. So we not only give you the ability to store JSON in the database, you can interpret the structure of that JSON data using a data guide. You can generate virtual tables and put these virtual tables into an in-memory column store to make it easy to quickly access that data using SQL. And with 18c, we now give customers the ability to generate JSON output from a SQL command. Some other obvious enhancements are the ability to, we've enhanced our property graph support with the introduction of property graph query language. We can do online patching of our Java virtual machine, and we've extended the functionality of global temporary tables with the introduction of private temporary tables. So to briefly summarize on the overall components of Oracle Database 12c and Oracle Database 18c, we've introduced a raft of components that are ideally suited to both online transaction processing applications and data warehousing, query intensive, analytic type applications. And there's a raft of features that are tailor-made for the developers of this world and for the DBAs of this world. So now that we've gone through all those capabilities of Oracle Database 18c, Darryl, what can we offer customers in terms of training?
That's a great question. So from an education perspective, Oracle University approaches education looking at how our customers use the product. And this is a very complex product, obviously, with the amount of features, a lot of that you just described. And so we really want to make sure that customers can ensure that their people have the right skills and abilities, so that whatever projects that they're doing with the Oracle database, that those aren't compromised by issues around skills and knowledge.
Yeah.
And so we've split the training into two separate learning paths based on the role of the customer. So in this case, we are looking at the DBA role, the database administrator. So if you're a brand new DBA, we have training for you, and it's a workshop. So you're working with the database, learning the concepts, install and upgrade, backup and recovery, those things are there. If you're an existing DBA, so you've already been trained through that program and you just want to understand what's going on with 12c Release 2 or 18c, we have a new features course, and that allows you to go through just the new things that you need to learn about the database. In addition to the core training, we also have training that's a little bit more in specialty. So a lot of the skills and the abilities of the database that you just talked about, multi-tenant, high availability, performance tuning, security, data warehousing, big data, and then training around Exadata and the database appliance and the ZDLRA, the zero data loss recovery appliance. We have training for all of that available for our customers from a DBA perspective. And then from a developer's perspective, we have a different set of courses that really talk more about Applications Express and SQL and PL SQL and the XML, NoSQL. We offer training for those as well. And it's important, I think, one is the what do we teach, but the second thing is how. So, the kind of the traditional Oracle University role, we had a lot of in-class training, and our customers have told us that they really prefer to have some flexibility there, and they don't necessarily want to come to class. And so we've offered now 2 or 3 different methods of how we can train you. So you can take an online course as well, which we call the live virtual class, and it's a live experience. You have an instructor who's teaching the same curriculum that you would get inside the classroom, and your labs, you remote desktop in, you're still touching the live database, and you can practice all the things that you need to learn. If you can't make it on a schedule and you really want something that's more self-paced, we offer the Training on Demand course, which is a 90-day training offering. It's organized into days, and the instructor takes you through in a video format, but it's all taped video. And it's all text annotated, so if you really just wanted to learn how to configure TNS Listener or something like that, you can search the TOD, find where the instructor is talking about those, and find the right instruction, the right context. The lab still exists in there. You just schedule it, and you can interact with the instructor through email. And then the last sort of invention that we have, innovation around learning, is the learning subscription. And as you talked about a little bit about the database is becoming more rapid innovation. We're introducing more releases than we have in the past. Customers might want to consider a learning subscription where you get training for a year. And over the course of that year, if we do release another version of the database, the training evolves right along with the database. So if we come out with 19C, we'll include all the 19C functionality in the learning subscription, so you get both in the same thing. And what's great about the online tools, obviously, is it's also great reference. So if you don't retain everything that you could get in a live, you can always go back and see that. So we offer those. In addition to that, for those engineers, DBAs, or developers who want to demonstrate their capabilities, their competency, we offer a certification program. We have 3 different levels, a lot of skills that you can learn along the way about the database. We offer badges that you can put on LinkedIn and Facebook and those sorts of things to advertise yourself, and employers can make sure that they are really getting their money's worth out of the training. So we've talked a lot about 18C.
Yes.
We've talked about a lot of those features. We haven't talked about autonomous database, which is the big item we're talking about externally. So could you take us through the autonomous database?
Absolutely. So I mentioned at the start there that Oracle Database 18C is sometimes called the autonomous database. And to all intents and purposes, it is after all the database that underpins Oracle's current autonomous database cloud services. But it's probably worth just explaining in a bit more detail what comprises the autonomous database cloud. So it's basically split up into 3 key components. At the infrastructure layer, we have this optimized database infrastructure. So it runs on Oracle Exadata. So we have the Exadata platform, high performance, fully redundant environment to run our database workloads. Then it also, as we discussed earlier, it relies on Oracle Database 18C. And it takes advantage of a lot of the automated features that are in Oracle Database 18C, like automated storage management, for example. It automatically manages the underlying storage on the Exadata platform. And then at the other tier is at the cloud tier, we've built in this policy-based workload optimization that enables us, or enables Oracle to deliver the autonomous database and deliver on the promise of self-driving, self-securing, and self-repairing database. So it's because we're able to proactively monitoring what's going on with the database, and also other databases. So like if a security patch comes along and this customer needs to update it, we can apply that patch right away. If we just move on a little bit more, let's just drill into the specific autonomous cloud services. So in March, earlier this year, we introduced the Autonomous Data Warehouse Cloud. So we gave customers the ability to establish in the Oracle Cloud an autonomous data warehouse. Very simple to set up. All the customers are required to do is basically define tables and load data, or just load data into this environment and then start running their query tools or connecting their dashboards to that autonomous service. The customer doesn't have to worry about the performance. It's been automatically tuned. They don't have to worry about applying patches. They're applied automatically. They don't have to worry about upgrading. It's done automatically. They don't have to worry about backing up that database. It's taken care of by the cloud service itself. So that takes care of the requirement for analytic type applications, data marts, data warehouses, and big data lakes as well. With the introduction of the Oracle Analytic Database Cloud, the Oracle Transaction Processing Database Cloud, or ATP as it's commonly referred to, we introduced that in August this year. And very similar to the Data Warehouse Cloud, customers simply require to establish an environment, establish an autonomous, an ATP database, connect their applications to it, and that's it. They don't have to worry about anything else. all the day-to-day maintenance and the backing up, the upgrades and so forth are all taken care of by the Oracle Cloud itself. Now these are obviously only two of the currently available autonomous services available. There are actually a raft of database services available on the cloud, but once again, what does we offer in terms of training?
So for the cloud, we have a whole set of training for all of the different database cloud options that are out there. And this is using our new digital format. We think because the cloud is evolving even faster, that the best way for customers to get across this training and understand what's going on is through the learning subscription. So primarily this is our route to helping customers understand, in addition to having the training and specific learning paths for each one of the different cloud services around database management service cloud. We also have integrated certification. And so rather than having to go to a testing center, now you can punch out from the learning subscription right to Pearson VUE and have an online proctor take you through the exam, and you never have to leave your office or your house or however you decide to do it. So we've continued to innovate, especially on the cloud side, this is what we have out there, and there's quite a bit to see. So we've talked a lot about the database, a lot of great features in the database, and it's amazing to see a lot of the innovation that's happening from all points of view.
Yes,
so that's
yes.
great to see. In addition to that, we are working really closely with the product development teams at Oracle, a lot of our consulting organizations as well, to make sure that our training is relevant and providing customers with real examples of how folks are using the database. So thank you very much for your time and attention today. Thanks, Willie, for your time.
Pleasure.
Appreciate it. If you want to get more information about the Oracle database, you can visit oracle.com, www.oracle.com. And for education, you can visit education.oracle.com. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.